Alright guys, welcome back to our VR. This is going to be a quick video. We had some broken parts on the Stampede, but what we're going to do is we're going to replace the hub with the RPM hub along with the RPM caster block, and we're going to go ahead and actually replace the suspension screw with the suspension screw set. And what this does is it gets rid of all the Phillips screws and puts them in the hex screws, and that way there's no what I call Jesus clips, but the clips that kind of hold the pin in. If I can show you one here. It's kind of hard to show you because this is what broke, but if you can see right here, that's the Jesus clip. That's the pin that holds the hub in right there. And what this screw set does is just it acts like that without a pin, but much better. I don't like these pin sets because they do pop off. Like this one popped off when it crashed, and I'm definitely not going to replace it with the other one. I don't like these just break too easy. So, but if you guys want to see what happened, we'll play a little clip down below. As you can see right there, I clearly didn't hit the Stampede. It just broke all on its own. Right. So here are the RPM parts. They are definitely beefier. I did notice when you're putting the spindle back in, which I'll show you, you're not going to use the spacer because it's gonna make it a little bit too tight for the hex for when you put the wheel on. But we'll get to that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is start by disassembling this. Comes out pretty easy. I don't like these Phillips screws. Eventually we'll replace all these. I think the hexes are a lot better. Okay. And to take the hex adapter off, just take any tool that you can find just to carefully pry in there and just pop it off. It pops off really easily. That pin out, and don't lose that washer. That's the washer I was talking about. It's a shim. You may not be using that, but it really just depends. On these bearings, these aren't your normal bearings. These are actually the copper ones that I didn't know that the Stampede had. And to get these out, I just use any kind of flat tool and carefully, evenly push them out, and they should just pop right out, just like that. You don't want to push too hard on one side because you might damage them. Just like that. That's it. We'll get rid of that. And we'll take this bottom one off. This one's technically already off. Now we're going to take this bottom pin out. This pin will be replaced with the new pin, so you don't have to worry about the Phillips screws. Just like that. Put all those broken pieces aside. Everything else looks good. Nothing really else got damaged. It's just it hit that weak point and it snapped right off. Really didn't take a whole lot of force. So just gonna clean the bearings up just a little bit and just pop right in, just like that. Now we're going to assemble this. This is the top, this is the bottom. You're just going to use the thin screws. It does come with the entire set, but we're just using the front ones. One's going to be longer than the other in this kit, so just see that. The bottom hinge pin is going to be the shorter one. The longer one is going to be for this one, for the hub, because it goes the length of the hub. Longer pin just goes straight through like that. Remember, these are self-tapping, so you want to push just a little bit just to get it started, and make sure you're lined up on top so it's not separating the two. And just like that. The only thing you do have to worry about with these is these will back out over time. with the jumps and the turns, it kind of unscrews itself. So with this up, I'm going to take the smaller one. Same deal, just goes right in. That's it. Doesn't have to be too tight. Make sure nothing's bound up. And next we're going to go ahead and put it right on. We didn't replace these screws, but I'm really not too worried about these. Same thing, when you put this in, you're going to have to put a little bit of pressure because you do have to kind of tap the hub, the screw into the head. So what you do is kind of line it up and start off slow until it grabs, and you should be good. Once that's in, you put the nut on the bottom because this one does have a lock nut. You can actually start it quite a bit with your fingers, and then put the tool on. Doesn't really take much force to tighten it. That's all it is right there. They do not come loose. And that's it for the bottom. And flip it around. Now for this top pin, don't forget the washer. So you put this guy in, don't forget the washer that came off. It goes on the opposite side. If it'll go on. There we go. Let's see here. I might have to flip this over to make it a little bit easier to install. Alright. That looks a lot better. That's gonna be a lot beefier too. We're not gonna have any more problems with those breaking. I'm gonna put the hub in, the spindle. Just make sure it's nice and cleaned off. There's no washer on the back. There's no shim. Just gonna line it up like that. Put the pin in. Oops. These are just like the Bandits on the dual drives. These are sometimes can be a little pain. Put it in, go back and forth. I mean, that's enough play right there. I mean, if you put that shim in, if you put this shim in, you're gonna have too little play and it's gonna bind up. So I would leave it just right there. Just line up your plastic hex. See that? Press it on. And there you go. Brand new. Did very well. As you can see from our last video that came up, this thing was jumping pretty high and nothing broke on it. It just took one of the rustlers to hit it just right to snap it. I would have thought that these arms would have broke first because they're plastic, but they actually held it pretty well. Still replacing them though because I know these break, especially when you're doing jumps. But yeah, that's it. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.